And welcome into the Wednesday edition of Chicago Sports Tonight here at Wrigley Field. The Cubs and Sox wrapped up a beauty of a series. Sam Panayotovich, ESPN Chicago's Jesse Rogers. How do you grade this series out of 3?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Really close series. 1 3-run lead in this one late in Game 3. Otherwise, it was all within a run of each other, within a couple runs of each other. Tight series. The season series ends up 3-3. The White Sox pull out the last one here. I thought it was great, and I'm looking forward to the rematch in October.
Clay Holmes and Jose Urquidy in a pitcher's duel, just like we thought in spring training.
That's a great point. Urquidy pitched the best game he's thrown in 3 years. Those are his words. Well, Clay Holmes had a lot of ground ball outs. He did give up some hits, but nothing too bad. The White Sox just were able to break through. Great defense on both sides, too. It really was a fun game and could have gone either way. Pretty much all 3 games could have gone either way, but the White Sox pull it out, and they needed one after dropping the first 2 and basically using up their pitching staff. So they're trying to survive right now as they're in a deep stretch of games. Sweep in Detroit, get this one. Now you move on to some home games.
You and I were in the Sox clubhouse after the game. I thought the question of the day was when you asked Antonacci about his catch in the ivy, the shoestringer right at the track, and his response was, which catch?
Yeah,
Which
that's what I'm saying.
Which was very funny.
Yeah.
Even though he's not funny, it was hilarious.
Yeah, he's kind of a dry sense of humor type of guy. But, boy, that was a good one. I asked Venable as well about it because Venable, as the visiting manager, has a direct line of sight. He called it a 10 out of 10, and it really was. Top of the fence. You have to remember here, a guy like Sam Antonacci hasn't played much left field until this year, and now you have wind blowing out for 2 days and then in for 1 day. And he said it held it up, and the basket's there. It's a lot to maneuver, plus the ivy and the brick wall. And he came down with it. It was a grade A 10 out of 10 catch that really, in some ways, changed the game because the Cubs would have been rolling offensively if that gets down or gets into the basket.
Yeah, 2 plays. The catch by Antonacci, the throw from Braden Montgomery, an absolute laser, Ichiro style, on the fly, right on the bag. People love hearing things that they don't necessarily get to see. Antonacci's putting his shirt on. He's got bruises all over his body. Now, the one bruise is on his right shoulder, and I don't think it bruised that hard because he did hit the wall. But he's cut and bruised. He looks like a prize fighter.
The guy's taken like 30 hit-by pitches. He's been in the big leagues for a cup of coffee, 15 minutes practically. So he's a gamer. He's a gamer, and this whole team kind of is. Chase Maidroth had a great defensive play yesterday we saw. I mean, in some ways, these teams mirror each other. There's no quit. There's a lot of fight. There's some good defense. Cubs probably overall better defensively than the White Sox, but White Sox showed a lot of grit and really played a good game today.
We'll talk about PCA in a second. I want to talk about your story you wrote for ESPN about the NL MVP. This might be a little stretchy, but it does sort of feel like the Cubs do go as PCA goes. If he has a bad game, usually they don't perform well and don't win. The Sox don't really have that guy. It feels like it's a different hero every night.
Yeah, the Sox are a little bit more spread out with their power, so to speak, especially from the left side. They can throw lefties at you at the plate. That's going to come in handy in the playoffs when you mostly see right-handed pitchers. Good set of lefties off the bench even. So that's their strength. The Cubs' strength is more in the length of their lineup, and you're not wrong about PCA. Right now, if a playoff team shuts him down, they're going to feel good about themselves. Unless Seiya really gets it going in the playoffs, which he can. There's moments where that lineup looks great and lengthy. Then other moments, if PCA is not hitting, you're like, oh, we can get these guys out. So it can go either way for them in the playoffs, where I think the White Sox have a little bit more power from the left side that can kind of fortify yourself late in games. You can run into a home run against a righty reliever. So the teams mimics each other in some ways, but also there's different strengths and weaknesses like there is with every team.
I asked Will Venable, Sox skipper, what he learned about his team, because, that's a fair question to ask, and he said, I don't think we really learned anything. Essentially, it reaffirmed what we are. When we're down, we're not out. We're resilient. We bounce back, and that's what we do. Is that not accurate?
No, it's totally accurate. I think what you learned is Urquidy might have some game in him. That was a really good performance. His sinker was awesome. Starts outside to right-handers and slips in, kind of like Greg Maddux like when he was going. So that would be the thing I learned. Otherwise, the Sox are the Sox. They stay in games. They fight you. They'll get you with a left-handed pinch hit like Benintendi the other day. And even if they lose a couple games, they're not going to just go lightly in Game 3. So, yeah, the only thing I learned is Urquidy could be a fine, but you got to do it for more than one game.
You were watching a million things, I'm sure, on your screen. The Tigers lose again today. They go into the ninth with a 1-run lead. Kenley Jansen gives up not 1 but 2 home runs. So Tigers lose, Sox win. This division is not great. They're in the playoffs, right? The Sox? You feel that way?
Yes, I do. Twins swept the Braves, by the way, today.
Sure.
So now
he knows everything.
So now we have to worry about the Twins. It's like every week. It's like first it's the Guardians, then it's the Tigers. Now it's the Twins.
It won't be the Royals.
It won't be the Royals. I absolutely think they're in. I've believed in them since May because of what I said earlier. Left-handed power keeps you in games, along with a bullpen. As young as this team is, they have a veteran bullpen. Hudson, Newcomb. Grant Taylor's young. Okay, he's the one guy. Hicks. These guys have some experience. So they're in every game because of those two things. So I think they're in the playoffs, yes.
Let's go to the north side here. Cubs did win the series. We just lead with the Sox because we just watched it here at Wrigley. Update on Kevin Gausman.
Oh, he'll be okay. It was kind of weird. He said he's had this hand cramp before in the left hand, but only after 7 or 8 innings and 100+ pitches. Like, that makes sense. Dehydration, you're exhausted, you get a little cramp somewhere. It happened earlier than it's ever happened to him, so you assume it's a one-off. A little humid last night. Sounds like he's okay. He wasn't pitching great anyway. You want to see him kind of lock in. He's only a 2-pitch pitcher, so anything that throws him off a little bit, and that cramp did, you worry about. But I assume he'll be okay.
Yeah, durability has been his calling card.
Yeah.
He rarely misses starts, and the Cubs hope that that's the case heading into October. As for the pitching side, good news on Palencia. Good news I heard on Ben Brown. So this pitching staff that was, a question mark maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago is now a strength, essentially.
Yeah, it's turning into one. It's slow.
Gradual.
Right. Palencia will be back Friday. Now he's got to perform. Like, it's not just getting back. You have to perform. Ben Brown, they're taking really slow. Every day has to be symptom-free. His next box to check is facing hitters out in Arizona. Make sure he's symptom-free there. Then maybe a live BP in front of the major league team coaches and stuff here. So it's one thing at one step at a time for all these guys. But first up is Palencia. Not going to go back to the closer's role right away. Not with the way Jacob Webb is pitching. But you would still expect important outs for Daniel Palencia to get moving down the stretch. He's got the arm to do it. Now he's just got to shake off the rust.
I feel like every 4 or 5 days you're tweeting about Pete Crow-Armstrong being the first player to do X or Y or Z. Have you ever covered a player that's had so many historic moments in such a short pocket of time?
Luckily, we have a big staff at ESPN to find these stats because they are historic. I mean, KB was accomplishing some of these things a decade ago, but now with the rule changes, the stolen base is now elevated, right? So he's going to keep on setting those marks, it feels like, year after year. That's the worst he's going to be is some 30 or 40 stolen base guy. In his best years, you'll see the 30-30 and maybe even a 40-40 here. So it's been a decade since we've seen anything close to this, but he's playing elite defense at a premium position. KB was good at third, was also third, and he wasn't the best in the league. Right. So my answer is no. I haven't covered a player like this in Chicago in a long time.
I believe this week,
Sammy Sosa maybe.
This week you talked about him being the first player in Cubs history to go back-to-back 30-30 homers and steals, and then the next day you're like, oh, he's the first player to lead off a game, walk off a game, and then lead off a game. It just feels like there's always so many firsts with him.
Yeah, I love that this isn't by luck. This is hard work. Monday, he came out early after a subpar series against St. Louis. He's putting the ball on the tee. Now, he does that all the time inside, but also outside, he's getting flips from his hitting coach, John Maley. And the flips just give you a little eyesight of the ball. And then he takes that into the game. And for some reason, Will Venable doesn't notice that after 4 or 5 good at-bats. And they pitched to him in game 1. I can't let that go.
No, you can't.
And he homers. And so, yeah, he's back on that MVP pace.
We talked about this in the news yesterday. I would like to not confirm, but throw this out there. I believe he's the first ever MVP candidate to lead off a game, walk off a game, lead off the next game, and then meet with 20 kids from the Boys and Girls Club. He embraces everything about this game.
Well, and this is one thing I love about him. And, yeah, we're around him. Maybe we're a little bit biased being here in Chicago. But there are a lot of stars in this game that as they become stars, they recede. Mm-hmm. Now, he's still young. We'll see what happens in 3 or 4 years. But, no offense to the other guy in the MVP race. He's not exactly in front of the cameras a lot. And, look, he doesn't speak the language, so it's different. But I'm just saying, this version of PCA, I want it for the next decade, for my job, for your job, and for Chicago. I think he came out with a cereal today, as a matter of fact, which and the proceeds are going to benefit the Boys and Girls Club. So he's all over the place. but he's 24, so he can do all that and still perform. It's great.
Last thing, you wrote a great story on ESPN.com about the NL MVP, and you talked to 20-some-odd players about PCA against Shohei Ohtani. What was your favorite part of that story?
Well, first of all, no Cubs or no Dodgers. Those players would be biased. So I asked players, hey, take your personal thoughts out of it, just baseball-wise. Doesn't matter if you know them personally or not. Just give me what your thoughts on these guys are. The thing that really stood out is these players would probably be picking Ohtani if not for PCA being a Gold Glover in center field. If he was a run-of-the-mill left fielder, I'm not sure they would be choosing him. But it's just, I think they see these highlights night in and night out of him on the bases, him in center field, and Ohtani's just DHing. It's like the two extremes in this moment, a guy doing everything on the field and a guy only hitting. Now, I think if Ohtani was pitching now and didn't pitch in the first half, that'd be an advantage to Ohtani because players and voters would be seeing him pitch right now. But I think the pitching is kind of in the rearview mirror for voters right now and for players. And so unless he gets back on the mound real soon, I think the lasting memory for his peers are going to be what he's doing all over the diamond, and Ohtani's only DHing, even though it's at a high level.
Pete Crow-Armstrong was a special player. This was a special series, and this is a special year for Chicago baseball. He's Jesse Rogers. I'm Sam Panayotovich.